back at practice.
He's
thoughts?
back?
Yeah.
I don't know. You're going to have perhaps more costly errors, interceptions, but you're going to have more playmaking. So there you go. I think it's a good thing.
Automatic, he starts, right?
Oh, yeah. Steichen said there's no question he's a starter. And you saw with Minshew, like we all think, great game manager. Not so much.
No.
They won, but there were problems. I mean, he missed receivers. He backpedals away from a rush from a blitzing safety. That's not good. You're not going to be able to backpedal faster than the guy coming at you. What do you think?
Oh, I think you're 100% right. I want Richardson in there for one guy only, Aaron Donald. I mean, You're not getting away from him, and I don't think he's going to get blocked. I don't know. I think that he's your quarterback. That's it.
Yeah,
he's your quarterback. And you know what? It's not like Lou Gehrig came in there and Wally pipped him. I mean, it was a win, which is all I give a damn about, but it was a win. And he didn't help him, didn't hurt. He just did his deal.
Everything had to happen right in order for the Colts to win that game.
Yes.
And if it didn't, you got a guy who had a historic day as a kicker. Juju Brents punches the ball away, or I think the Ravens win that game like 31-7. So everything happened good.
And Chris Ballard deserved one of those. I mean, all right. Nobody's on his ass more than me. I get that. But I'm also pretty fair. Like, he's had enough bad things go, whether you want to include Andrew Luck on his deal or not. But, all right, you had a good day. Juju, draft choice. A lot of people said, why? Not that fast. Made a big play. They signed the highest paid kicker in the history of the NFL, and he won a game for you. So good for, hey, I don't know what his son did at Westfield on Friday night as a quarterback. I don't know. But that's a pretty good weekend for the Ballard family, and they needed one. Good for them.
And you need a kicker. You need a good kicker.
Yes.
You can't just run out some lunatic whose hobby is playing with Legos and hope for the best. You can't do that. You need to find a legit guy to kick field goals, or you can't win in the NFL.
James Franklin once said, I want assistant coaches with hot wives because that means they can recruit.
That's irrefutable. That's perfect coach logic.
Blankenship, I saw his wife, and I remember Coach Knight and I are driving. We're driving at the convenient mart.
Don't say the name of the player.
Todd Lindemann.
No!
Todd Lindemann. His girlfriend was this tall. Knight went off. Knight went crazy. You don't want to be big. You don't want to be big. So I've always paid attention to like girlfriends and husbands and wives, and I don't know, like we're lucky. We've got good ones. Your wife, I mean, when we ever have a party, the first person we think about, hey, we got to get Julie Sterling here.
It's the only way I get invited to stuff.
We don't want you.
Without Julie, I'm not there at all.
Julie's laugh and your laugh is infectious, but no, hey, look, you want a serious dude. And we said it on Monday, hey, Adam Vinatieri was hunting big game. Ricardo, whatever, was coming in on little skates on his shoes and playing with Legos, and you get what you pay for.
That's exactly right. And they did. AFC Special Teams Player of the Week. Interesting talking to him yesterday. He does not remember. He comes in, doesn't remember hitting the ball, any of the kicks.
I believe that.
When he's in his zone, he's not thinking. And I thought immediately of golf.
Yeah.
When you're just like 2 beers in, it's tough to maintain that equilibrium, drinking, playing golf.
Yeah.
But 2 beers in, you swing nice and easy, and you say, you know what? I want to hit it here. And you just let the club go, and magically, there's a nice little draw, and boop, boop, boop. Perfect.
It's why guys that aren't great players bogey after a birdie. Because they're still thinking about what happened there. Or, you know, I'll be honest, I lived to break 80 yesterday. I'm on a roll. I shot 78.
Oh.
And that's off of a 77 and a 74. And every one of those 3 rounds started with a bogey. 3 of the 4 or 2 of the 3, whatever it is, started with bogey. Because then you just play. You're not like, I always think I got to shoot under 5s.
Right.
Because 5s is like no 6. But you're right. You just relax and play. And that's what I'm hoping that we see out of Anthony Richardson more and more. I think this.
Relax.
Yes.
Don't overthink it.
Tell me what you think. And you and I and everybody that since Anthony Richardson has been drafted, they've talked about his accuracy.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you can't tell me that a guy doesn't pay attention to that. You can't tell me that even his coaches are talking about drop this. Okay. I hope that in this game, because the Rams are good, they're not great. They're good. I hope in this game or as we move through the season, I don't want to hear Anthony Richardson talking about his fundamentals of throwing the ball. I want to hear him talking about his concentration, his being in the moment. I don't remember kicking. Hell, I don't remember throwing. I'm just out there playing, because that's when I think guys get really good and fulfill their potential.
And conversely, you've got a shit show in Chicago with Justin Fields who's doing exactly the opposite of that. You got to just go play.
Look.
Go play.
I was like, Lou Holtz was on my show the other day. And
was he really?
And I said to Lou Holtz, we were talking about the whole thing with Ryan Day. And he's like, yeah, I don't care. I said what I said. He's 6 years old. What the hell does he care? He's like, I don't think they're so. But we were talking about the difference between basketball coaching and football coaching. And he said, man, basketball, only got 5 guys. And I agree with him.
Yeah.
Like football to me is hieroglyphics. Football, I used to sit down with Urban on Sundays and he was showing me, he would ask me about what we did with different things. I would ask him, he's got this new spread offense. And I swear to God, I get a guy's coming at you, pitch it, okay?
Right.
But the overloading, the numbers, football can be freaking confusing if you want it to be.
Right.
And football can be, hey, look, backyard football if you want it to be that too. And you got to find a little bit of a mesh here, don't you?
Yeah, I think people, and coaches do this a lot. Coaches think they got to prove they're smart by hyper-complicating everything. Here, we're going to look at what we're doing here. But we got this guy, and we got this guy, and bam, boom, bam, bam. 11 guys it's hitting the guy you're across from. It's getting the ball to the guy who's fast and shifty. And that's that's the simple, it's kind of like math. I don't know calculus. I never understood calculus. If you turn football into calculus, football players have no choice or no chance. But if you keep it basic math, you got a chance to go out and beat people if you're talented.
Yeah, I tell people the only math I know is sport or golf gambling math. I know I can have every press. I don't care. We had 4 going yesterday. I got every one in my mind. But that's because it's easy to me. There's no, like you said, calculus. There's no figuring it out. You can figure certain things out and then you can't. And once you get to a point where you can't, that means you're thinking. And if you're thinking and playing, that's not necessarily bad. Like people think, oh, he's thinking too much. That's not bad. But again, there's got to be a little bit of mesh. You got to think when you play. You got to see, you got to recognize, you got to kind of go, if this happens, then I'm going here. And then you got to execute it. But the truth of the matter is there's got to be a level of thinking and there's got to be a level of instinct, talent, and play. And for the most part, I think Richardson and that coaching staff have done a pretty good job with that so far.
I do too.
Yeah.
And you look at the turnovers. Not a lot of turnovers. They've won the turnover battle twice. They've won 2 games.
Not a lot of really stupid, like scratch your head plays, are there?
No, not at all.
Right.
Sometimes he tries to squeeze it into a hole that maybe not be fully developed.
Okay.
Sometimes it gets batted down, and that's going to happen against the Rams. But as long as you don't give the ball away, you're going to be okay. They don't have him slinging it 60 yards down the field. He's managing the game the best that he can. What he's got to figure out is that football's a violent game. This isn't high school. And when you come into contact with an NFL player, somebody's going to get hurt. You're going to feel it.
Yeah.
So you got to steel yourself for the hit. Dole out more punishment than you take.
I would say dole out none, which means take less. No, seriously.
No, you're right. Get on the ground. What are you doing?
Honest to
you
God.
need to run and burp.
People blame, and I go back to Andrew Luck, they brought in sliding coaches. They practice him getting out of bounds. And Ken, it's so funny when we talk about this with Richardson, or we talked about it with Andrew Luck. I'm watching the Cincinnati Bengals Sunday night game. I think who they playing, whoever they were playing, I don't know.
This week they played the Rams.
That's who it was. That's right.
Monday.
Yes. So I didn't have the sound down because I started a new book, and I don't like reading with the sound. But I was watching the game more than I was reading. And when you don't have the sound on, and you don't have the crowd, the game looks totally different.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, and I tweeted this out. I cannot believe how soft and how this is such close to flag football the Cincinnati Bengals backfield is.
Yeah.
It's like everything was pushed out of bounds. Everything. Richardson has to understand that it's different with him because he's big and strong. He's not Matt Stafford, who you don't really have to put a lick into. You know he's going to fall down and go out of bounds.
Right.
So he's got to understand defensive backs are not only strong and it's not college, but they know they can get hurt running into 250, 6'4".
Right.
So I got to put the hit on your ass.
Right.
So Richardson has to say, I'm getting out of bounds or I'm getting down and avoid, because he's getting hit harder than anybody on that field.
Yet to finish a game,
Right.
that's a problem.
Huge, don't you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You've got it. Or, like, you're putting too much stress on everything else. You know, if you go from Richardson to Minshew, those two guys have completely different
Right.
skill sets, and it's different. And so you're blocking differently. The receivers have to run their routes differently. They have to run them longer with Richardson. Everything changes when you swap quarterbacks, and you really put too much stress kind of on the mainframe of the offense.
Yeah, and the easy thing to do is say, well, the offensive line isn't any good. Let me explain something to you. There is not a quarterback, and I don't think they're great, but there's not a quarterback that throughout the course of the game doesn't have to leave the pocket a number of times.
Right.
There's not one clean jersey at the quarterback. Well, there is now because it's turf, but you get my point. There's not one guy that doesn't get nailed.
Right.
So when people say, well, he's getting hit out of the pocket, well, you're going to be out of the pocket. You just are. The other guy, I don't know what Aaron Donald's being paid, but it's big time money to do his job too.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? Yeah.
If you're a quarterback, if you've got the ball when the play ends, you're either in the end zone, you're out of bounds, you slid, or you got hit.
Yeah.
You get hit more often than the other three put together.
Yeah.
So you better be ready for that, and you need to understand what it is, and you need to try to avoid it and have it be one of the other three. And if you don't, your career's not going to be very long, and that'd really be a shame. And he's going to learn. He's shown an ability to learn, and that's a good thing. So I think there's reason for optimism.
Well, I think the best thing is that he's back. I saw where Ryan Kelly is not yet. I saw he was still in the protocol according to Steichen, and maybe you put it out there, did you not?
But today, like, he practiced yesterday.
Okay.
So then you have the evaluation by the
Okay.
independent neurologist, and if he's at practice today, you know he's cleared protocol.
Yeah, I just saw this on here. I just saw one of these guys said AR is not a quarterback. You're wrong.
Oh, that's way wrong.
I mean, that's way wrong. That dude is out. I mean, I've seen enough of him to see, look, he is absolutely a quarterback. Is he going to be Joe Montana? Don't know. Is he going to be Cam Newton? Don't know. Is he going to be Vince Young? Don't know. But he's absolutely a quarterback. He looks like, runs like.
When you talk to Colts about it offline,
Yeah.
you know, what's this? Or you hear coaches say things. Sometimes they say things that they don't believe, and you can tell. And there are other times they say things with conviction. They talk about Anthony Richardson being their leader, being their quarterback, being a quarterback, and they do it. Guys like Ryan Kelly, they wouldn't say it if they didn't mean it, and he means it.
Yeah, look, guys are talking about C.J. Stroud and Richardson. Well, C.J. Stroud changed me around a little bit. I thought he was terrific.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and you know what? You can only go by a guy performs. You can project, but you know what? Good for him. And if he's good, then the Texans are going to be a lot better. I don't know if the Colts are great. I don't know. We get a win. We're all excited. You know, the other team didn't have 8 play. Okay. But I do know this. I do know that this game here, if you're good and you're mature, you're going to play your nuts off in this game. I'm not saying you're going to win. I mean, winning is the whole thing. But this isn't going to be one of those where the Rams come in and it's 24-0 if you're a real team.
Right.
Yeah. You don't have to win every game. But if you're a real team, you're going to bust it in this game.
And you've got to realize, and I know that they do, that game in Baltimore should have been a loss. They did enough bad stuff to lose that game, and we're having a completely different conversation about Gardner Minshew if Tucker hits that field goal and Minshew had stepped out of bounds, or if Minshew doesn't step over the back line, he coughs it up, and that's a scoop and score, and it's over.
That's a Carson Wentz from last year going left-handed.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you said because I want to explain this a little bit. You talked about coaches showing how smart they are and making it more complicated. Here's the difference between coaching and playing, and I learned this really quickly as a coach. Coaching, you think about all the ways it can go wrong. Playing, you never think about the ways that it could go wrong. Players think, you know, hey, look, let's just take Indiana. I didn't get to Indiana because I fucked things up.
Right.
I mean, and that's how players think. coaches have seen particularly NFL coaches. I mean, next time you bored, just look at the freaking jobs that NFL coaches have had. There's like 1,000.
Oh, yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Terrible. Who goes into that profession? Are people crazy?
But my point is that they've seen a lot.
Yeah.
Like I saw this one JUCO game where so-and-so, we were down 20 with a second to go and we scored 3 touchdowns and, stuff like players, they don't have that experience. And by the time they get to the NFL, I mean, let's be honest, they're all been really, really good for their whole lives. And they don't think about the 10 different ways this can get effed up. Like a coach will say, throw the ball on this side.
Yeah.
Because they know the defense is on this side. Well, players are like, hey, fuck that. I mean, it's just the way it is. So that sometimes overwhelms, and that's what you're seeing with Fields.
Tell me about this, because I want to go back to the original point. I think that great coaches make it easy.
Oh, yeah.
And bad coaches make it crazy. When I went to the media day for Indiana when Crean was there, and Tim Buckley was diagramming the offense and showing us how the different reads were, and I told you about it, and you're like, oh, geez. Yeah. It was, there's no way that a player, like at Loyola, Whiteslid would call a timeout. Everybody would come in. Whiteslid would explain what they're supposed to do. Then after the timeout, the 5 guys who were playing would turn to Ryan and say, what do we do?
Right.
And Ryan would say, and off they'd go. Buckley explaining this, there's no way that guys didn't just check out and think, I don't know what he said, but we're going to make shots.
I think I told you at the end of all that, I said, yeah, watch all that crap and then watch what happens. 10, 15 seconds ago, it used to be this at Indiana. That means flatten it out, give it to Gordon or give it to whoever, and let's go. I mean, okay. I mean, yeah, I think I've said this on this show. Dick Vermeil, after he won the Super Bowl, came in and talked to our basketball team in Indiana, and he said something that Knight put on the wall: "Don't complicate winning."
Yeah, there you go.
And I use that in my life. Don't complicate your life. Now we all do. I mean, hell, Mel Tucker, that dude really complicated his shit. But we all do, right? I mean, but don't complicate winning. Make it easier.
Always.
Yeah.
And in life gets really easy when you let go of the small stuff and you just okay, these are the 3 things I need to be as a human being. The rest of it, I don't give a shit. It doesn't make any difference at all. Everything gets easy. Everything is fun. And when you're in your 20s and 30s, you think, I got to be the best dad ever. Yeah. And I've got to be the best husband. And I've got to make all this money. And I've got to do this and that and this and that. And you're on this hamster wheel that just never freaking ends. And you get off at one point and you're like, what was I doing all that for? I'm a decent human being. How am I going to be a bad dad? I'm not evil. I'm going to be a pretty true blue as a husband. I'm fine. I'm going to be who I'm going to be and let the other people adjust.
I always told my wife, both wives, you're never going to have to worry about me cheating on you because I don't have the kind of energy. I got Catholic guilt, and damn, I don't want to complicate my shit.
Right.
Like I couldn't imagine. Like I've actually met 2 different people that have 2 families. Yeah.
Simultaneously.
Yes. One one guy had one in, was it Argentina or Venezuela, where his work took him. And I'm like, how do you do it? He goes, I get a thrill out of the chaos.
Oh.
He goes, I got to have the chaos. He goes, I'm in love with 2 women. That's what I do. I go, Jesus. I like a little chaos. I ain't afraid of a little chaos, but that's not me. That's a little too, that's too much. I remember Lee was like, where were you? I go, where was I? I go, I was sitting in a bar with like Kent. We were having a beer and a hot dog and we were talking about the world we live in. I go, or you can believe, I was with 3 strippers, a hooker and a Sherpa, and we were in a tight 9er. I'm like, what are you talking about? So she learned real quick. But yeah, don't complicate it.
I get invited to Wolfie's by a guy. And we've known he and his wife for a long time. And so I'm like, okay, I'll grab a beer with you. We sit down and he goes, you're having an affair with my wife.
Oh boy.
And I just started laughing. It's preposterous. It made no sense on any level. It was just like the most how could you be that obtuse that you would believe that I would ever do that? It's craziness.
What happened?
So I just laughed. Oh, he like had the timeline synced up.
did?
You know, she does this at this time and she's driving there and that's right on the way to your house. It's like, are you out of your mind? Like, there are so many things wrong with your position here. I can't even get into it. That's just crazy, straight crazy.
I had a couple ask me if I wanted. We were at the JW Hotel. It was Knezovich was there, and about 4 or 5 people at the table, and a husband and wife asked me if I wanted to come up and have sex with their wife.
Oh no!
I'm like, I had him say it 3 times. I did.
What?
I did. Because I always used to tell players, like, I know you're lying. I'm going to ask you 3 times. You know what I mean? Like, all right, did you go to class? Yeah, man, I went to class. Did you go to class? Well, yeah, I got. Did you go to class? All right, coach. I swear to God, the 3 rules. And the same thing with my kids. It's the 3 times rule. I still do that. And my kids will be like, Dad, you don't have to ask us 3 times. I go, wait a second. Did I hear? Yeah, we got a hotel room right here. What do you think? And I'm looking at the wife, and she's like, yeah. I go, what? Yeah. I go, no. What's wrong? And he got in a panic the next day. He's a friend of Knezovich's. He called Kyle. Hey, don't have Dan talk about it on the show. Don't have him talk about
it. Hey, maybe you shouldn't offer it to a guy with a show. How about that? What's the matter with people?
I'm like, first question. You're the first one that didn't do that. Everybody I talked to, was she hot? That's your question. Was she hot? No, and I wouldn't have done it. I wasn't married. I wasn't engaged. I didn't even have a girlfriend. I was divorced, but no way. No chance. But anyway, that was funny. Anyway, that doesn't happen to me much.
Let me ask you about Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
A lot of people talking about, a lot of people do not like Jonathan Taylor at this point because he's putting money over football and all of that, which is something that maybe all of us would do were we in the same position. Do you bring him back? Do you sign him to an extension? What do you do?
All right, I'm going to cop for a minute and say there's always a backstory. There's not in a vacuum. Jimmy Irsay's relationship with him, I don't know where it is. With Ballard, I don't know what it is with the team. But having said that, I don't give a rat's ass if I'm the owner what Jonathan Taylor wants. I'm going to do one of 3 things. I'm going to say play, I'm going to trade him, or I'm going to sign him to an extension. And if I had to rate those in order right now, the way it is right now, with one more week to go, I'm saying play, trade him, extend him. That would be my order. If I could, look, hey man, I don't know what the hell to tell you. You come off this PUP list, you're going on the suspended list or whatever, and you're not getting paid the rest of the year. So you got a choice. You can play. Your agent's already come out and said that you can pass a physical. So you can play. We'll try to trade you if that's what we want to do. Third would be sign him to an extension. But I would have to look, remember when Deebo Samuels was with and he was going to get traded and he was public and it was a mess. And, well, how'd that work out?
It all worked out for everyone.
Why did it all work out?
Because of money.
That's right. So that's why money at the first, which is, look, if you don't want to play, your ass ain't getting paid.
Right.
We're not, we've already jacked around here for a quarter of the season, 4 games, roughly a quarter. We're already jacked around with your ass. Now, we will try to trade you. And if you play and you show that you're all in on this, we'll talk about an extension.
If you're Jonathan Taylor, what do you do?
I got to play. I got to play. I'm stupid this way. I look at legacy. I look at history. I always thought playing was fun. Like, I don't know, maybe it's not fun to be a running back in the NFL and score touchdowns and blow kisses and spike ball. I don't know. It looks like fun to me, except when you get your ass kicked. If it were me, I'd 1,000% play. If it were me, I would have told my agent from jump, look, you get this squared away, whatever you need to do, I'm playing. But that's not the way guys think now. Maybe he thinks he's standing up for a bigger cause, the running back, maybe he does.
And on the flip side, maybe Jimmy Irsay is thinking he's standing up for a bigger cause, and he's representing the owners and the CBA in a way that he can live with at owners' meetings.
And when you say both have put themselves in that position, both have been vocal about that particular side for them.
And I think, and I'm one of few guys, I think, that thinks that Jim Irsay is really kind of a smart guy.
Yeah, you do.
Really smart guy.
Yeah, I do too.
I think he's been put in this corner by the other owners, and I think they're enjoying it. And he should know that. He should see that.
Yeah, and well, let me ask you, what is going on then with Jimmy Irsay? Because Jimmy Irsay was put apparently in the corner to talk about Daniel Snyder. Remember when Jimmy Irsay was the guy?
Exactly.
So
they've got their guy.
So Jimmy probably feels that he has enough years. He's got enough credibility. Jerry Jones is who he is. Maybe Kraft with the whole, massage thing can't. And I think that Jerry Jones, or I think that Jimmy Irsay, if you told me today Jonathan Taylor is standing up for other running backs, I'd say I believe you. If you told me Jimmy Irsay is drawing a hard line because that's what he and the owners have decided, I believe that too.
You better be really careful if you're Jonathan Taylor, because I've heard people make kind of the allusion to Curt Flood.
Oh.
Curt Flood played, 29 games for the Phillies after all that?
Yeah.
Or got
he was
traded
with the
to
Cardinals,
the Phillies,
right?
Yeah, was an all-star, a gold glove guy.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he decides he's going to make it his business to get rid of the reserve clause in baseball, which he helped do. But it killed his career. I've got an autographed check from Curt Flood. That's how bad things got. When you get to the point where you're selling and your family's selling checks.
You remember? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's
so
no
it was a
good.
memorabilia sale.
Yeah. It was like an auction for a charity. And Curt Flood, great. Did so much for so many. Nobody ever took good care of Curt Flood. But if you want to be Curt Flood, you better be prepared to suffer the slings and arrows of Curt Flood.
And if you're not, then don't be Curt Flood. And here's the thing about Jonathan Taylor, and I think this is always a good move. Just shut up.
Yeah.
He said what he said, showed up at camp, and we haven't heard a word out of him, really.
No, there was
Was there a bit?
He put up that video of him working out a week ago or whatever, but really he hadn't sat for the media at all, and he's going to have to.
But he hasn't talked about the running back. Running backs have no leg to stand on. Eckler, out. What's his face? Barkley, out. Taylor, out. There's Chris, there's like Chubb, out. They got no leg to stand on. I'm not paying you.
No. And the Colts never have.
And the Colts had a pretty good running game without him against a tough team.
Right. And always came back better. I mean, Jim Irsay, if he's going to dip into his history, in 98, the Colts were 3-13. They had Falk. They got rid of Falk for a second and a fifth. 99, they're 13-3. 05, they've got edge. They let him go as a free agent. They draft a die. They win a Super Bowl. Let a die go. It all works out. You're going to find another and another and another. And you're right. Zach Moss played his ass off.
Super Bowl MVP was Dominic Rose.
Yeah.
The backup running back.
Should have been.
Yeah, should have been. Yeah, Peyton was the MVP. Right. Yeah. The backup running back after they had gotten rid of Edge. And Adai, I think, was the first string running back then.
Yep.
And he got hurt. So, Freddie Viana, my buddy, got Rhodes out of jail, and he went and became the damn Super Bowl should have been MVP.
If only he could have bridged the gap between Nick Harper and Nick's common-law wife or fiancée when she stabbed him in the thigh the night before the game against the Steelers in 05. That would have been. Where was Freddie then?
Freddie was trying to represent the misunderstood of Indianapolis. A lot of those people aren't criminals. They're just misunderstood. All right, so the rest of so now you go in, and we mentioned Aaron Donald. There's some talent here. Cooper Kupp not being in there, and I'm actually glad I get to say Cooper Kupp for the real Cooper Kupp, not the clown that played at Indiana. But anyway, I get to say Cooper Kupp. And he's not there. That's a big loss. Cam Akers decided last year, at the start of the season, he was going to be a pain in the ass. They got rid of him. But I swear to God, Kent, and I think you'll probably agree with me. I'll never forget this. Colts camp, whatever year, Lions are in. They're playing against the Colts, kind of situational. Yeah. I'm standing there with Venturi. Luck's playing. Stafford's playing. And I swear to God, I never saw anybody throw a football like I saw Matt Stafford.
Yeah.
He made Andrew Luck look like an okay thrower. Like this dude, and I've always been a fan of his until he didn't pick that lady up that fell off the stage. So he can kiss my ass with that after the Super Bowl celebration. But I digress. I see everything. I'm like Deion Sanders. I can keep receipts. anyway, but
And not just your receipts.
Oh,
You're keeping everyone's
on
receipts.
everybody. There's a long list right here. But yeah, the offensive line for both teams is big, but I like when the star wide receiver of the other team isn't in there. I just do. I that's so big. The star running back, Moss will go get some. But when the star wide receiver, because I'm telling you, the Ravens had nobody that you worried about last week.
No.
Nobody.
No, and Flowers, totally. You look at Juju Brents. Juju Brents did a great job with Zay Flowers. I'm not sure how good Zay Flowers is because of how Juju Brents shut his ass down.
Yeah, and every game's organic, so I don't know. Maybe tomorrow he goes for 90 yards. But when I was watching that game, I thought to myself, this is two teams that are very much alike. Defenses are playing hard. Quarterbacks aren't playing great. And neither has a weapon that can bust this thing open.
The only guy who makes me nervous at all, their running game is garbage.
No, it's trash.
3.6 yards a carry or whatever, is Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell moves different.
Yeah.
Like watching him play against the Bengals, I was like, wow, look at that guy. Puka Nacua. I'm not.
Tutu's a guy that didn't step out of bounds, but they said he did, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that was a game changer.
I couldn't believe that.
Oh, I couldn't.
How do you overturn that based on what we saw?
That's the thing. We don't know what they saw,
Right.
and what they saw had to be different because it just would. It makes everybody yell and scream that replay sucks because you can't even get it right. But you remember the Wisconsin game? I think it was here in the Final Four. They overturned something, crowd went nuts, and then they said later, "We're seeing something you're not." But
sure you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Boy, when you get two cynics with big brains together, everybody's getting over on us.
We had the secret camera.
Yeah. Oh, there is two. We have the 44 tape camera. But no, I don't think this is a formidable. I think this is a good team.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a great team. I think that they've lost too much. I think Odell Beckham Jr. was a big pickup when they won the Super Bowl. Probably would have been the Super Bowl MVP. He's not there. There's no Ramsey anymore at the corner. As I said, Cam Akers was a good runner for them. They don't have him. The running game, I think it's Anderson. They're not worth a damn. So you come in, you're at home, and you play equally as hard. You don't make mistakes, and damn,
that's the key.
God dang, Kent. Coach Knight's saying victory favors the team making the fewest mistakes. I mean, we talked about it. Kenyon Drake puts it on the ground when they're going ready to go 14-7. You just cannot do that in the NFL.
Make plays.
Yeah.
If you're able to make more plays than you take, if that makes sense, I think you got a great chance to win the game.
Yeah, because guys, there's a reason people chart. Some call them big plays, some call them whatever you want to call them, but plays over 20, 25 yards, They chart them, and you got to have them. And that is always going to be my worry. For some reason, I feel like we're going to see a big game out of Alec Pierce.
Ooh.
Yeah, I do.
Ooh.
I do. If you're a fantasy owner of Alec Pierce, I got little birdies in and around the Colts, and I'm hearing that watch out this week for Alec Pierce. Now, because I'm saying it, he'll probably get hurt in the first minute. That's a disclaimer. That's over here. If he plays, I think he's going to get to close to 100 yards. I think he's going to get over 70 yards.
He was a guy, he's getting dressed at his locker today, before practice. I was over there, and I was like, do I want to talk to Alec Pierce? No, because I have nothing good to ask him. Bernard Ryman is playing his ass off. I'm going to talk to Bernie. Alec will wait till he does that, because I don't want to have... I don't like people telling me that I suck at things.
Yeah.
I don't like... How would you describe your first 3 games? That kind of
Alec, you really
question.
haven't broken out yet. When do you think it's
Can we put you down for this week against the Rams?
Yeah, hey, I got to finish it. Alec, I like to bet the over on wide receivers. What are you thinking? What do you think? No, but I do. I think I had a guy with the Colts tell me that goes, I'm just telling you, this week is going to be a pretty good week for Alec. I said, okay. I hope. I mean, I want the Colts to be good. I asked why. He said, just trust me. That's all I ever get. Just trust me. Okay.
The Rams do well. I mean, Alec and T. Higgins, but T. Higgins or Jamar Chase had a pretty good week.
Huge day.
T.
Higgins could have if he could catch the ball.
Yeah, a lot of drops.
That's been Pierce's deal too a little bit.
I didn't feel bad. We get critical about taking. We missed out on T. Higgins. T. Higgins was the guy taken right before Michael Pittman. But right now, I'd take Michael Pittman over T. Higgins.
Yeah, maybe Michael Pittman in the T. Higgins spot would be better for the Colts. I don't know, but unless you're going to tell me Cooper Kupp, or unless you're going to tell me, some great wide receiver, what the hell? I mean,
Jefferson.
Someone like that. Yeah, right. Justin Jefferson. Yeah, Pittman's fine. And you know what? He should be confident. He's a go-to guy he made a great catch, but he's not asked to go down the field. He's not asked to, if he doesn't average 20 yards a catch or 15 yards a catch, he's failure. No, he's in a great spot. Just
he doesn't average 10.
That's what I'm saying. Just be solid. No, that's what I'm saying. That's my point. My point is catch the first down.
The ball. Oh, high point the ball. Got to high point.
You know what? So, all right, maybe you can explain this to me. I'm going to watch the comments here.
Yeah.
Every Saturday and every Sunday, I hear constant use of the word leverage. Everything is leverage. Yeah. So I text my buddy Scott Johnson, who does the Saturday night ESPN game, and my buddy Bart Fox, who's on the #1 crew with Big Ten Network. Can you please have an announcer explain to me leverage? I mean, I understand leverage when I'm bracing myself.
Right.
He's got outside leverage. I'm thinking that means I'm playing him to the outside.
Yeah.
Okay, but nobody ever says that.
No.
There's nobody, I swear to you, nobody knows what they're thinking. Outside leverage means I'm holding him up like that. No, they never explain that fucking leverage. Right. All I ever hear is leverage.
People get so locked into vocabulary.
Oh.
They hear it one place. That's a clever word. I'm going to put that in my notes, and then all of a sudden, it's everywhere.
So Obama said the word audacity.
Yeah, the audacity of hope.
Yeah, and Michael Grady comes on my show. It must have said audacity 6,722 times. Like every guy I know, a friend of mine, Reggie Jones, we go out to lunch about once a month. I used audacity. I said, shut up, Obama. And he thought I was meaning because he's black. And I go, no, it isn't that. He brought that word out. You're stealing his word. Use your own words like asshole, whatever. Stop with the audacity. Leverage is that word. It's in baseball. High leverage situation.
Yeah. I say it.
Do you?
Not often.
What's the high leverage situation in baseball?
Well, it's like the Cubs faced last night in the bottom of the 10th. You got the winning runner on. He steals second. So you got the winning run on second. You're in the shits. You're having trouble winning baseball games. You got a guy in the mound you really don't want in a high leverage situation.
What does that mean? It's going to go one way or the other?
Yeah. I don't know.
Well,
that's a great question.
That's what I'm asking. What does it mean?
So within the context, we know what it means because of the overuse of the terminology in that situation. But how does that have any relevance to the situation?
Right.
That's a great question.
I've heard that. I hear it all the time, high level. And I always think, okay, that means this is a situation that one way or the other is going to determine the outcome.
Right.
But it doesn't. The Cubs got out of it. It had been a tie game.
Right.
So maybe it's just the one that determines you losing or you winning. I don't know.
I think high leverage situations can only be assessed through the rear view mirror, that they've already happened.
Right.
So you can say this was a high leverage situation. You can't say this is a high leverage situation.
That was a high leverage situation.
Yeah. Past tense, it works.
We got through that high leverage situation. The audacity for those guys to get through a high leverage situation. High leverage is a team that favors a team in multiples of 5. Wow. If you throw in widgets, I'll think I'm in that math that you take as a freshman at IU.
Oh, the Venn diagrams, finite math? Fantastic.
If 62 widgets ate 74 widgets, how many widgets would they share?
Maynard Thompson with the widgets. Yeah.
It was all widgets. Like, what are we doing? But no, all right, so if the Colts get in a high leverage situation, I like the fact that they have a guy that if you screw up, this is where I like Richardson. If you screw up your coverage, and let's say you go man-to-man, you turn your back to the defense, if he can break through an attacking line of scrimmage, he can go for 30 or 40.
Yep.
That's where, on this particular team, against this particular team, that's where I think it's necessary. You were mentioning Minshew backing up. You ain't backing up against Aaron Donald.
No.
I mean, you're going to back up, roll on your head, do a flip backwards if you're backing up. Yeah.
And here's another thing with Richardson is he gives a defensive coordinator all kinds of crazy shit to think about.
Right.
Like you've got to, all right, if we don't do this, he's going to do this. There's so much more you have to worry about with Richardson than with Minshew. How many times are we going to have to see Minshew sacked by the same guy running the same blitz from the same place?
Tyler Hamilton.
My God. Like, Minshew's a genius, but here's old number 14 standing right over there again, and here he comes again, and he's on his back.
Didn't the offensive coordinator say that was his fault?
That's Jim Bob Cooter's just a good man.
All right. Well,
or a guy who doesn't like his job. I'm not sure. Maybe he wants to get fired.
But you're right. You're like, man, all right, I'm not asking you, Gardner Minshew, to throw the ball on a dime 70 yards down the field. I'm not asking you to break the pocket and run. I'm not asking you. They were running like RPOs, and I'm like, well, if I'm Baltimore, I'm going to kill the running back in the hopes that when he's trying to fake it, he's got to keep it, and then some fat tackle can slam him on his ass. But if I were the running back in the RPO thing, I'd be like, no, no one's going for this. No. And I'm getting crushed.
I'm putting 8 in the box.
Oh.
And I'm going to make Richardson throw it all day. Beat me through the air. If you can beat me throwing the ball 35 times, God bless.
But but the RPO game does come in with Richardson.
Right.
Yeah. Like with Minshew, it's like, okay, really? You're going to carry, where are you carrying that ball to, son? With Richardson, it's like, wait a second, he could break this and beat our backs to the goal line.
Right. That's why I'm loading it up. I got spies on both.
Yeah.
If he wants to fake it and throw it, good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
The more we get him to do that, let's go.
I do agree with that. What do you think? What do you think as we've now had a couple days? What do you think of the Colts defense? You mentioned Brents.
Ooh.
Quiddy paid better. I think Buckner and you talk about Stewart a lot. They've had monster years.
You know what? And this sounds like Chris Ballard, but it all starts up front. If you've got Grover Stewart and DeForest Buckner, you can control a lot of the game, and those guys are playing at such a high level that it makes Zaire Franklin look like a Pro Bowler. That's a good thing.
Ken, that's all I watch. I told you, I don't watch the basketball when I watch basketball, and I don't watch the ball when I watch football. I just watch the line, and then I pick up the ball because the line tells you. And I think the offense, our defensive front of the Colts has been really active. That kid from, Northwestern or Cathedral? Who's the kid that came from Cathedral? The African name? Naganu? No, who's the kid? You talked to? He's had like 3 sacks.
Oh, Quiddy Pay?
No.
Dio Odangbo?
No.
Oh, Samson Ekebom.
He's good.
Yeah.
And I heard him interviewed.
Good pickup.
He's smart. Like I don't know. I kind of liked him.
Yeah.
He's where did he come from? Cathedral?
No, he didn't. That was a backup guard that they got rid of really quickly. What? That he played in the preseason, and he was a turnstile, and it wasn't good, and he was on the slow boat somewhere else. I don't know if anybody.
He was ceremoniously discharged.
Yeah, that's the way it worked.
Hey,
which I like. Let's go.
Hey, if you can't help us, we're helping you by letting you find another career. That's it. But that kid is good. That kid's I watched that kid, and what do all the guys say? He popped on film. I don't know. Yeah. All I know is I looked. I'm like, I don't know that number, and it turned out to be that Ekebom or whatever.
52.
He's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So look,
and Pay's playing well. He's got 3 sacks.
I thought he played really well by the end of the game.
To me, the difference is Grover. Like Grover Stewart is a man playing for his next contract, whether he wants to admit it or not. That guy is fit. He just looks bigger and is playing like a monster in there. He's just really good against the run, and he gets penetration and moves the pocket back. He's played great.
And I think that because of him, as we've mentioned, it's not going to slow down unless injury gets Zaire Franklin. That's not going to slow down his tackles.
Right.
Because he's aggressive, he's smart. Zaire Franklin's really smart.
And there's nobody to block him because you got to sell out to block both Grover and DeForest, and so there's what you got.
I think Buckner's had a good year too.
He has.
Yeah.
He has. He was out of practice yesterday. He's got a groin.
No
talked to the media today, though, so I think he's going to play.
Would you say that this defense it has a chance, not is, because they're 2-1 and they whatever, but can this defense be a defense where, let's put it this way, Colts fans are comfortable that in the last quarter, now we didn't see it in the opener.
Right.
I talked about this. They got outscored 63 points last year in the fourth quarter, the most in the league. 14-0 in the first quarter, fourth quarter in the opener. This defense, do you think, can get to a point where Colts fans are confident they can hold on to a lead in the fourth quarter?
I think so.
I think so too.
I do. Here's the tough part of the defense, and this is the decision that Smith has got to make, the linebackers coach, and then Gus. And that's, at what point do you just cut bait from Shaquille Leonard? Because Shaquille Leonard is not playing well. He didn't play well in Baltimore at all. And EJ Speed is not playing badly. So when you go to that 2 linebacker set and you got Kenny Moore at the nickel, what do you do with Shaquille Leonard? Do you keep trotting him out on the field and hoping that somehow lightning strikes and everything heals and he's good to go?
There's a lot of factors. Is he a true leader on that team?
I don't know.
He's
such an odd guy. Yeah. He's so oddly enthusiastic. That's a great question. Yeah. They all say that he is, but I don't know.
I don't see it. I didn't see it in Hard Knocks. That's a big question.
He's locked in his own brain.
Yeah.
He's got.
Yeah, he had that weird Chipotle thing where he was saying people were racist, and then that went away. I mean, there's weird stuff there. I tell you what, 2 NFL guys told me as soon as he changed his name, watch, he'll be shit from that point on. Like, I don't know. I usually buy into those things, but look, do you cut bait with him? If you got somebody better, you 1,000% do, unless he's so valuable to you in the, what they call it, the building and in the locker room and all that. If he's that valuable, but
you tell me,
if you got somebody better, fuck that. Screw that.
This is really, as you've got a guy like that, and everybody talks about his enthusiasm. Oh, his enthusiasm, it's infectious. On game day, it's infectious. His practice intensity is infectious. Does that mean a damn thing to anybody? Does that mean anything to teammates?
Yeah.
Did you ever come to a practice and get lift from like Winston Morgan or Stu Robinson or Uwe or something?
Basketball is different, though, because it's so long.
Yeah.
Basketball is so long. Football, really, if you think about it, you play Sunday, you treatment Monday, off Tuesday, on a half-day win.
Right.
I guess you can, if it's real. I would think that people followed Shaquille Leonard's enthusiasm when he was making the Pro Bowl and getting interception.
But there's production behind the enthusiasm.
That's always the case.
If there's no production, you're crazy. If there's production, you're eccentric.
That's right. If there's no production and the enthusiasm is fake, they got to get rid of you.
Yeah.
Because then you become like, well, tell them to shut. I mean, maybe I'm too cynical, but I think I know how players think, and it's very simple. Money talks, production talks, everything else walks, period. And now you can add to stuff. You can, if you're getting great production and you're really enthusiastic, then that's great.
Yeah.
You can add, but it's always production. And to your point about Leonard, if they got somebody better, I ain't worried about Leonard at all. Not even a thought.
And that's what they did with Okereke. I mean,
right.
He went to the Giants and everybody's whining like, oh no, they didn't sign Bobby. It's like, Speed's a better player.
And they know that. See, here's the other thing. Fans think they know. Coaches and GMs aren't trying to lose. Right? And they're not trying to put back, unless you're in the NBA at the end of the season, I guess. But in the NFL, you're not trying to lose. You're trying to put the best players out. You make a deal that looks funny. I mean, unless your GM is a complete clown, he's got to know that the guy coming up behind him is just as good, if not better. And fans don't. We like the name EJ Speed. We like the way he played in short doses, but they must have known that he could go from start to finish.
Yeah.
So
let's talk about the Cubs for a minute, because the Cubs are a train wreck. And we'll get back to. Don't worry. Hey, by the way, subscribe, because I think the jersey's coming today. We're going to give it. So sign up for. You can enter by subscribing to this and my channel, and send me a DM. That's about all there is to it. Let's go. And like this video. It's just polite. It's Hoosier hospitality.
And this is some good shit.
It is. Let's go. Cubs, a complete train wreck. 2 nights in a row in Atlanta. They lose games they had won.
Ken.
What is going on with Suzuki? Don't call off a Gold Glove center fielder. What are you doing?
Ken. Brett Brown. Although they made the playoffs.
Don Young.
Don Young. Ken, I'm watching that game. It was 6-1. I told Lee, I go, Lee, I'm just watching this, and I'm telling you, this is the kind of game the Cubs lose.
Yeah.
She goes, no way. I go, she leaves, and I just start mother effing when Suzuki is running, and he goes, no, I got it. I don't even, look, I know that he's not supposed to call the guy off, but so make the catch.
Yeah.
And he's been great.
Yeah.
Like, he's been dynamite here in the last 2 months. Like, I saw, what is it, slugging, OPS or whatever. Nobody except Mookie Betts is higher than him.
Yeah.
In the last 2. And you tell me I'm wrong about this. I'm really curious to your point. You just mentioned 2 guys, Brant Brown, who played well, Don Young, who played well, but their careers get defined by one play.
Oh, baby. You do the wrong thing at the wrong time.
Suzuki's is this season, I believe, will be defined by that play if the Cubs don't make the play.
100%.
Yeah.
Yes. I mean, if you're like Glenn Beckert and you hit 342 like he did that one year, it's all singles and doubles. If he boots a ball in a high leverage situation in September, that's who he is forever. Yeah. Steve Bartman.
Oh.
That's an adjective now in addition to a noun.
Leon Bull Durham.
Yeah,
nice career, right through the wickets.
Bill Buckner with the Red Sox.
Yeah, I saw
Fred
that.
Merkel. You want to go back to 1914?
I'm just saying, man. Suzuki's right there.
Yeah. There we go. I got it. Yeah. You got a glove and everything.
Yeah,
come on.
You could have caught that one without the glove. And if you didn't see it, check it out. It was, and when it happened, like you could see that. You guys know this. You watch enough baseball. There are balls that are hit, and you can tell it off the bat. That's caught.
Yeah,
right. And that was like, all right, it's caught. And even Smiley, the pitcher, was kind of half walking off, looking like, shit, I'm done. I'm out of it. Oh, it's like, holy hell. I don't like it. And last night they had to lead twice or once. And
once that starts rolling downhill, it is really, I don't know to what extent momentum's a real thing.
I don't either.
But analytics will tell you it doesn't exist. It's like clutch hitting. If you look at the numbers, you say, well, there's no such thing as clutch hitting. You talk to Major League Baseball players. I did this to Johnny Bench. So I'm talking about clutch hitting. And I'm like, you can't tell me it doesn't exist. We were talking about analytics. Because Tony Perez, every time he played against the Cubs, first and third, running, the winning runs on first, winning runs on third, he hits a sac fly. Winning runs on first, he hits a double in a gap. Tony Perez just did what had to be done in order to win. And Johnny Bench looks at me and he goes, I had moments like that too. Blah, blah, blah. And he turned it like he was a great clutch hitter. It was like he was pissed that I used Perez as a guy with the Reds. Yeah. It really made me laugh.
Oh, yeah.
But that either you rise to an occasion or if you show yourself that you can't and it's in a situation like something we could do, we don't like that at all.
Well, think about this. Think about how much factors into clutch hitting. There are stats for everything. He's runners in score, RISP. He's batting .089. Well, he's batting .290 in other situations. He must be a choker. Well, you know what? After the 7th inning, he's batting so-and-so, right? I mean, nobody, baseball is so numbers oriented. And maybe the modern player is different. But I'll guarantee you, if you said to Johnny Bench, how many home runs you got? I don't know how many he's got, but I guarantee you he knows. Yeah. How many RBIs you got? How many RBIs do you have relative to how many RBIs Tony Perez had? I guarantee you they know all that because that's baseball. And when you go south, major leaguers will tell you it's hard to get out because you're in your own head. And now you talk about momentum. So the Cubs can look at it one of two ways. We can't beat the Braves. It's just not our thing. We're playing well. We're playing well enough, and it'll turn in these next 4 games, and it has to. Or you look at it like, we can't win. Our bullpen sucks. If we got to throw that freaking lighter out there again, it's like what's going on with the Jets.
Lighter.
Think about the Jets.
Right in the brain.
Think about the Jets. The Jets are now the defense is bitching at the coaches because they believe that the coaches believe Zach Wilson. That's how teams are.
Yeah.
These things, everybody's not singing kumbaya, howdy doody, hey, we're all in this together. Bullshit.
You're putting really your life on the line, your ability to earn on the line every single Sunday in the NFL. And if you don't have a coach and a GM and an owner in alignment behind some kind of mission, you're gonna check out a little bit and start making business decisions, and you can't win that way.
Well, you tell me that if you're on the Cubs right now and you've seen that bullpen over the last couple of days, couple of weeks, maybe
disaster.
Yeah, and you know it. It's not like you don't know it. Now people are saying,
and they knew it in July.
Of course
when they could have made a deal to go get a guy.
Leiter pitched well for a little bit. He had a nice stretch. But, if you pitch enough or you hit enough in baseball, you're going to have a nice stretch.
Right.
It's just it's a matter of, can you do the high leverage situations over and over and over and over? And it's like a game-winning drive in football. Like, some guys are really comfortable. Some guys get a game-winning drive because they throw a little swing pass and Tyreek Hill goes 3,000 yards with it, but other guys are boom, 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 taking you down the field. I mean, it's like you just talked about with Johnny Bench. It's winning time, and you got to step up.
And if you carve statistics into a skinny enough set of slices of the pie, you can make any kind of argument you want. If this guy, runners on first and third, 1 out, 7th inning and later, he's hitting 490.
Right.
But what's that mean? It's 18 at bats or whatever in his career. So
yeah, and that's the thing with baseball. Baseball, I'm telling you, it's more than any other sport. Now I know football may be catching up, or maybe it's past. I don't know, but I swear to God, from the history of the game to now, baseball has always been numbers. 714 was a big number when we were kids. Right. 3,000 hits, 300 victories.
367, Ty Cobb, and
that 400 in a year. We're going to watch that until. So
Well, and we had baseball cards. Mm-hmm. What'd you look at? You looked at the front for 4 seconds, and then you studied the back.
Yeah, and read a little profile.
Yeah.
But so now the Cubs are even up with the Marlins. So, all right, the Brewers have clinched. The Braves have clinched. So you're playing against two teams. It really doesn't matter. It matters to you. Here's the deal. Even if it mattered to them, pitching, relief pitching, clutch hitting, and that's going to decide.
Go win. And David Ross, somebody other than Mark Leiter, please. Thank you.
Man, I like that kid, Mayweather, who throws it 100, but they seem to. Here's the other thing about baseball. 100 doesn't even matter anymore. Dude, like this guy, Mayweather's throwing 100, and the other day, some freaking Pittsburgh Pirate guy, after he got thrown 3 pitches in the 80s of this, he gets another 100, and he puts it right center bleachers in Wrigley, like he was playing against Andy Atar for the Cubs in Little League. It was like, Jesus, 100 used to matter.
Yeah.
100 don't matter.
No. If it doesn't move, and it depends upon, kind of the perspective of the hitter. What's he want? If you got a dead fastball hitter, he's going to just keep looking fast. Why would you, if you're getting away with a guy, you're getting away with breaking ball, keep throwing breaking balls.
Well,
Don't change it up and try to throw 100 past a guy who wants to hit 100.
I will say this. It got to 3-1 in this instance, and it was clear that the left-handed hitter against the right-handed pitcher was on every pitch.
Yeah.
Like he got 100, fouled it straight back, and then he got a 85-mile-an-hour Bruce Sutter, and he didn't flinch. He just looked at it. Then he got another one. He just flinched. Then he got another high fastball, and he was right on it. And if I'm Mayweather, I'm like, oh, shit. But you would think that 100 with the ball doesn't rise, but, it stays on the plane, would be good enough to get a guy out. This dude, Jesus.
I worked with a guy named Chris Duncan.
Sure.
And so Jason Simon Tachi and here just talking baseball in my office. And Simon Tachi says, what was your thought process when you went to the plate, Chris? And Duncan said, I was looking fastball outer half, every pitch. If I got a fastball outer half, I killed it. If I was going up against a guy and he tried to throw it by me, like who's the big guy who pitched for the Brewers? Ben Sheets.
Oh, Sheets, okay.
Ben Sheets. He said I killed Ben Sheets because he thought he could throw it by me and he couldn't. So I'd sit, fastball outer half. If a guy spun it 3 times, Strike one, strike two, strike three. I tipped my hat and went back to the dugout. Give me a fastball outer half, I will kill you. And that's a major league hitter. I thought, well, that's way too simplistic. Like, people are going to figure that out pretty goddamn quick.
But then it becomes the execution.
Right.
All right, what's my best pitch usually is a fastball thrown on the outer half.
Who's fastball?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And, if you're going to ask me to throw 3 hooks that are going to spin, not what they call it, not a cement mixer that just goes like this, like, I guarantee you he hit some cement mixers out too.
Yeah.
But it probably didn't hit the freaking nasty slider that a guy has trouble throwing 3 straight up at a play. I know, and that's, anyway, but I don't know. I need playoff baseball.
Yeah.
I must have playoff baseball involving the Cubs. Otherwise, I got to tell you, Kent, there isn't one team and I'm interested in watching.
And how about this? Yankees? No.
No.
Red Sox?
No.
No. In the American
Dodgers,
League, you got the Orioles?
No interest.
You got the Rays?
None.
Right. The Twins?
None.
This is a nightmare
it's
for
horrible.
Major League Baseball. Nobody is going to watch any of these games.
Who's winning the West? Texas was.
It was.
They
It
crapped
is
the
now.
bed. They're back.
Yeah.
I knew they crapped the bed. No, it's horrible. I like watching October baseball, Wrigley Field first. Then you give me Yankee Stadium and give me Fenway Park and give me Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
Other than that, I really don't give it.
Brooks Robinson died.
Yeah.
He was 86. The Orioles, it was so much fun to watch the Orioles when they mattered, when they were relevant.
Yes.
They had Hall of Fame guys.
Yes.
It was so cool. You forget because we never see them. They're never on Sports Center.
Name a
like
guy.
the Orange and the... I got no clue.
I used to be able to name the 4 guys. I can still. Cuellar, Dobson, Palmer, and McAnally. The 4 guys. I can name you Robinson, Bellinger, Bobby Grich, Davey Johnson, Bobby Grich was there. First baseman was Boog Powell,
Etchebarren behind the plate. Merv Retman. Frank Robinson.
The center fielder was fast.
Kurt Blefary.
Belfry.
Paul Blair.
Paul Blair.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Frank Robinson way back, but that was way back.
I can't do any of that for today, other than the Cubs.
Cubs are tough, though. Who's playing third on your Cubs?
Wisdom.
Hadn't been.
No.
Madrigal or Carrera.
Nico Horner.
Nico Horner and
You
Dansby
got
Swanson.
Dansby.
I'll go up the middle with you because Bellinger.
Bellinger.
Who's the first baseman?
Suzuki. They keep moving Bellinger over there. If you got a Gold Glove center fielder, what the hell are you doing putting him at first base?
I don't know, but they brought up that Crow Armstrong, and all of a sudden, in the middle of a pennant race, and he's in center field, and I'm thinking to myself, you just went on a run. You won like 10 or 13 or whatever it was, and you bring this kid up that everybody knows is going to take somebody's job at some point.
Yeah.
That Tachman was playing really well as a leadoff man, and now you bring this kid up, and I'm thinking to myself, Jesus, that's stupid. Let him be a pinch runner. Let him get a couple of bats in a blowout. Let him play the second game of a doubleheader, whatever the hell it is. Don't put him in center field against the Reds or somebody.
And Ian Happ.
Hell yeah. You like him? I've never been a big...
I think he is the ultimate mediocrity.
Yes.
I think he's the best mediocre baseball player I've ever seen.
Just good enough in left to be considered really good. Makes a throw or two. We saw it time.
He's the guy they kept. Out of all the guys, he's the guy they kept. Schwarber gone, Soler gone, all these guys gone. And you know what? The Cubs were right in some case. Chris Bryant, good not paying Chris Bryant.
Oh, great not paying Chris Bryant.
But, I know you have your problems with Schwarber, but I like a guy who hits at 7,000 feet.
I do too. And I'm wrong because the strikeouts are a part of it. I think he's a great clutch player. You're going to ask me, who do I want up for the Cubs? Let me put it this way. Second and third, 2 outs. Who do I want up to win the game?
In a high leverage situation.
Yeah. Schwarber would be among the guys because I'm going to feel like he's going to walk, intimidate, or hit a home run.
Right.
Or hit the ball hard, I guess I should say. He's been good in those. So, no, I don't. My only problem with Schwarber is I knew what he was. He came up and he was batting like 350, and I'm like, dude, the dude is Matt Stairs. He's going to hit 100,000 home runs, but he's better, I'm sure. And he to me is the guy. You asked about enthusiasm or it factor. I think he's good for a team.
I do too.
I do.
I thought he was great in 15.
Yes.
Like when he came back.
Yes.
that lifted that team. I'm surprised they didn't win the World Series. I thought they should have won it in 15. I thought they were a little bit better, but they went after Chapman in 16, and Chapman lifted them up. They gave up Gleyber Torres, but what are you going to do?
Gleyber Torres was pretty good for a while, and then playing in New York, he did what people do. He became a hero.
Yeah.
And when you become a hero in New York, you're a hero. You're a big hero. And then you're going to start batting .220. Now you're a zero, and nobody knows about you anymore.
When you believe you're a hero, that's a difficult place to succeed.
What does it say? Pride comes before the fall?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
There you go. Subscribe.
Right. We need subscriptions.
We talk too much about the Cubs, I know.
Yeah.
Colts going to win?
Yeah. I think they're going to win
so too.
like 24-21, something like that.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
Yeah, I think so.
You know what? Again, and now I'm friends with Wesley French.
Oh, good.
The backup.
That's your guy.
So yesterday I see him, I said, hey, that was kind of fun, wasn't it? And he stopped me. Like most guys go, and move on. But you say all. And he goes, you know what? That's why I play. That was a great game. That was so much fun. Every play mattered. It was just great. It was so much fun to be. He just went on and on. It was awesome. Like he's like the anti-Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
Jonathan Taylor doesn't want to play. All this guy wants to do is play and have a great time doing it.
So that's the guy we root for.
We do.
He's the official Colts player of this show. Last thing, Indiana is getting 14.5 at Maryland.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to set the scenario.
Yeah.
Maryland is a horseshit coach coming off a big win.
Yeah.
Indiana, the entire country knows they stink. A great coach would get them ready to play, understand there's a bigger picture. I don't believe that out of my guy Mike Loxley. However, Indiana does stink. Gun to head, would you take Indiana and the 14.5, or would you give would you take Maryland giving 14.5, or would you take Indiana getting 14.5?
If I made that bet and I had the ticket, I'd put it, and it was Indiana plus 14.5 for $100. I'd put it under my pillow. I'd say a prayer by the side of the bed, and I'd say, please, dear God, let Indiana play well. If I did Maryland minus 14.5, I'd put it on the counter where I could get to it on Sunday morning and go cash it.
You didn't answer my question. I mean, you did.
Yeah, I'm taking Maryland all day and twice on Sunday.
Well, my answer is I'm not betting on Indiana football ever. But if I had to, why do I think Indiana's going to bounce back?
You just don't like Loxley.
Can't stand him.
No.
But he did to a friend of mine who was the AD at New Mexico. Is beyond human. He was such a jackass, such a dumb fuck, just a ridiculous human being.
What is the matter with people? For God's sake, stop looting stores.
Oh, man.
Treat each other with respect. If we just treated each other with respect, life would be so easy. It would be so much fun, but we keep getting in our own way. I don't understand it.
I'm telling you.
Mel Tucker, put down the phone. Do whatever you want on your own time in the privacy of your own little nook in your home. Don't do it on the phone with a lady who counsels people as to the difference between, yes and no.
And you've paid. Mel Tucker, they paid her $10,000 to speak to the team. Paid her so she becomes automatically a vendor.
Yeah,
now people are even my guy Clay Travis. He's arguing like, well, Mel Tucker's getting screwed here, and I'm not saying he's not. I'm not saying that the lady who was on the phone with him 37 minutes and didn't hang up, and she's supposed to know how to. I'm not saying she's she's not Mother Teresa, but as a coach, can't you know?
I don't know what he's doing. There's just a lot of moaning. Mel.
Hey, Mel. Mel. Put down the penis and call me in 3 days. Right? 75 million. That's what official word I heard today. He's gotten 14 or 15 million out of the 90. So he is, and then what's the divorce going to cost him?
Yeah, right.
Hey, Mel, let me, husband Sam. Now, I just read this in the USA Today. You were beating it to another woman, that Brenda Tracy lady that I knew you were having an affair. Now, Mel, how much is in our bank account? I'm taking it all. Please leave that.
He may be the dumbest individual in the
Nonviolent crime
society.
division. That's as stupid a move as you're going to make.
That's
74 million. Nonviolent crime. We always preface it. Nonviolent crime.
Man, what is the matter with why?
I don't know.
Collect your money. Lose every game.
Yeah.
Get fired for anything but that.
If you want to see something funny, Ed Orgeron is on YouTube, and he tells a story about getting fired at LSU. And he's like, well, in the way he talks, he's like, Coach, you did a great job here, but we're gonna let you go. We owe you $17 million, and you're gonna get every dime of that. And we thank you. And boy, you want us to. And he goes, wait, I get $17 million. Yep. What door do you want me to leave? Right? And he had an interesting point. He said, everybody's got a shelf life as a coach. Yeah. He said, mine's about 5-6 years. I figure my job in a job is about 10 years. And then I get bored with it, or they get bored with me, or whatever. But I think that's interesting. I think everybody does have a shelf life in their industry.
And you know when it happens.
Yeah.
Like, when you hit that.
Yeah.
You hope you don't hit it, but then you do, and you're like, okay.
Have you hit that anywhere?
I did. I hit it in St. Louis.
I hit it at Emmis.
Did you?
Big time. That's why I left. I hit it at Emmis. I knew it. I'm going to meetings, and I'm like, you know what? I don't like. I said what I didn't like. I wasn't this new group's kind of people. The people that I was looking at, that I'm working with, weren't the same. You had left. Eric had left. They weren't bad people. They're fine people. They just were different than I wasn't. I didn't know anybody. And the same thing happened in Bowling Green. I remember going to a meeting, and I remember going, wow. This used to be a family, and I don't know any of these people.
Yeah,
but that's the way of the world. But that's the only time. Bowling Green, I knew it too. I did know it, but Emma's, I 100%, 1,000% knew it.
I tried to fight through it.
Sure.
For 3 months.
Yeah.
But we had a big meeting with the corporate guys, and one of the corporate guys said something where I thought, okay, all right. And I immediately was back here in Indy.
No.
I walked out of the place. I walked into the hallway, and I was like, this is terrible. I got to figure this out because I'm gone already. And that wasn't a good place for me to be. And it wasn't good for the people there to have a boss who had moved along.
Yeah, so. and people say, well, if somebody's shelf life is 10 years, why are people working at these jobs for 20? Well, you got to have a job. Right. You got bills to pay.
In some places, all you got to be is a nice guy. Yeah. And if you're a nice guy, you get to stick around no matter what you do.
No doubt.
And I don't want that. I can't operate that way.
Now that I think about it, I kind of was done in Indiana too. Because I was going to take any job. I was like, Knight's out of his mind. We're not going to get any better with me here because he's not going to recruit. So, yeah, I was. Now I really think about it. So I guess my thing is I get about 10 years.
Yeah. Good
I'm not going to work another job for 10 years, so I'm good now. Need to win the lottery, though. Hey, anybody got the numbers? The lottery's pretty good.
I don't want any part of that. $925 million? Do you know what a pain in the ass I would be? I would go completely incommunicado. Everybody I know, you excluded, would want something. Well, I'd feel like I had to pay off everybody's mortgage that I ever met. And if I didn't, I'd feel guilty about it. Julie would have people back in Griffith. People would be lined up down the street from Griffith outside our house saying, where's mine? Wait, what do I get? It would just be a nightmare. I couldn't do it. By losing, I win. That's why I play.
Well, that's a nice way. I think by winning, I'd win because I'd get to tell people, hey, go fuck yourself. I don't know you. What are you talking about? That's the same thing. It's when Indiana fans say we to me. Yeah. I'm like, really? I'll let you be we. I understand the fandom, but I didn't see your ass there at 5 o'clock in the morning when Coach Knight was kicking my ass and breaking Rick Rawley's arm. I didn't see you there when John Flowers was diving on Ray or Alfred told me to put a finger in my mouth because I was the captain. I needed to puke to get us out of the practice. No. Oh, yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah. We lost to Ron Harper in Miami. And,
I remember that game.
Yeah, it was terrible. It was an afternoon game. Knight told us to come back at like 5, and we full court, 1-on-1 and 2-on-2. We're going to practice until somebody out here pukes. And about 2 hours in, Alfred's like, Dan, you got to puke. Alfred's a freshman. Like, I'm trying. So I went behind remember those old baskets in Assembly Hall?
Yeah, right.
I went behind, puked.
That ended?
I told, I think it was Joby. I'm like, hey, Joby, man, I'm puking. Oh, fuck, I don't know. All right, I got you. Hey, but you ain't really puking. I go, no, but I'm trying. And Coach, dog, you're puking. Okay, yeah, I knew it'd be you. You're a pussy, dog. I'm like, yes, I am. Let me get out of here. But yeah, man, But anyway, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, have a good weekend. Subscribe.
Now,
remember.
please.